Now, you have said already that you were deliberately, with this film, wanting to be non-judgmental about the issue of drinking. Although we see that drinking is an issue in these girls' lives, and it's an issue that I think people will take away from the film. That I think it does impart a subtle message about what your priorities are and how to focus. And at a time when drinking levels among women in Australia are unfortunately on the rise and it's getting worse, did you want any takeaway message about alcohol in the film? Even though you have said that you've been non-judgmental, I'm wondering whether that prevents the film from being a little bit of a message for them. Did that make any sense?
Yeah, the writer, Emma, is very clear from her point of view that she doesn't want to judge the women in the film for drinking, and that they don't have a problem with alcohol, that they are social drinkers. I think that you can get stuck and you can overindulge in all sorts of things. Some people do it with their phones, some people do it with their jobs, some people do it with booze and partying too hard. I think there's a difference between that and, being an alcoholic, for instance. And there was a strong, feeling in us all that Laura needed to keep drinking to the end. We were all really dissatisfied by things like Trainwreck, when it was like she was a partier and then she just tips all her booze out and puts on a cheerleading outfit and goes and gets her guy. That feels disingenuous. For us, there's a big difference between still being able to drink and not doing that as the only thing you're doing in your life.
The chemistry between the two leads, between Alia and Holiday Granger, who is such a great actress. I don't know if you saw Bonnie and Clyde, the Bruce Beresford.
Yeah.
She is just phenomenal. She's a terrific actress. But actor chemistry means that they have to work both ends of the spectrum. Yes, the frivolity and the joking and the banter, but also the friction has to work. It has to be convincing. These actresses had not met before you cast them in this film. How does the director get that chemistry? Is it a mixture of luck and work? Is it mainly luck? Are you praying to the movie god that these girls click? Or are you working to make it happen?
Well, flippantly, I often say that I believe that they're great actresses, and so that's their job. And I do believe and trust in them about that. We did do a lot of tasks and a lot of things that create intimacy and a lot of things that I asked of them, and they rose to that challenge. So everything that you're doing is doing that. But I guess there always is that bit of luck too. They're very different people, they're very different actors. And so you're right, if they were too similar, that tension might not exist. And that's one of the beautiful things about them. I trust the actors will bring that. I trust that their craft is there. But you have to create the place on set for that to happen.
Okay, this is a bit of a toughie, because you have spoken very eloquently about setting the film or resetting the story from Manchester, as it is in the novel, to Dublin. And you've spoken so beautifully about how it works and the literary culture there and the yada yada yada. I'd like you to speak to the harsh reality of setting the film in Dublin in order to trigger the finance, because it is a matter of the art of compromise. Might be an unfair word, but you did have to do something. You had to make an accommodation creatively in order to get the money. Can you just speak to that, whether it was a bit of a sting to you, or whether you thought, no, in order to get the money we will simply artistically justify what we're doing?
Yeah, I'm a pragmatist, so I'm probably going to be, I want to get a film made, and so I will accept things, and as long as I don't feel like they kill the movie. For me, in the end, as I've said before, Dublin became such a great city for the film. I really do believe that. When we were first told it, we weren't told you need to relocate it. We were offered the solution of shooting Manchester in Dublin, and we would go and shoot a couple of days in Manchester. So we could have done that and maintained that. But when you're working in the film the way that I would do, you really want to use what's around you and the authenticity of that. So it wasn't as appealing to me to shoot like that at this kind of budget level too. It was a sting mostly because Emma's so connected to Manchester. She has a lot of make pride. That book is like located so specifically there. We understood that we could find authenticity there because Emma came from there. That was a bit of a risk, going to Dublin and having to find all of that. Holiday was cast because she was from Manchester. These things it was a difficult moment, but we chose to embrace it and go, no, actually let's fully find the city of Dublin as a character, the way Manchester was in the book.
It's not like you're watching the movie thinking, oh, this is an okay film, but you know, I kind of feel it should have been set in Manchester.
Wish it was in Manchester.
Yeah, there's no sense of it, so it completely works, and I guess that's another aspect of making the change work.
Yeah. And you have a culture like that, you know, yes, it is very Mancunian, but it could be set in a lot of places.
Yeah.
You know what, like, there are some things that you would be asked to do, and you would go, no, I can't do that. But generally speaking, you want to make something.
Are you ready for the challenge?
Mm-hmm.
The Shembury Challenge, which I love to put to all independent filmmakers. Well, as many as I can sucker into this corner of the interview.
Okay.
And the challenge is this, okay? So you've made your film Animals. It's getting a release in America.
Oh, we don't know yet.
You don't know yet. Okay, well, here's your challenge, Sophie. Okay, I'm a big American studio exec. And as often happens, I've seen your lovely little movie. And I think, oh, this is a lovely film. It's beautiful. We see the markets. I've given it to the number crunchers. They've come back to me with figures about demos and, you know, 4 quadrants and 4 quarters and all that kind of thing. And, you know, I'd like to offer you a deal. We want to give this thing a push. We want to put this thing out on 1,500, maybe 2,000 theatres in a platform release across the United States. But what we'd like you to just go back and just reshoot some of it and we want an affair between the Holiday Granger character and the fiancé. We want a full-on affair between them. Now, how you resolve it in the story is up to you. In fact, you don't even have to resolve it, but we want that sex scene in there where she's basically betraying her friend on a sexual level. If you want to put a scene in between the girls, that's up to you. We'll leave that as a suggestion. But as a deal, we'd like you to go back and shoot that scene, incorporate it in the film as well as you like, and we'll give you this distribution deal. What do you say?
Well, my first gut response is, well, no, I'm not going to do that, right? Because I think I've seen too many films about women where they're jealous of each other, where they're in competition with each other. But as soon as, you know, I got past that first idea, my brain started to go, oh my gosh, I wonder if there's a way to show them having an affair and something like that, what seems to be betrayal, but not do it in a really traditional way. Sort of reframe it so that we understand who that character, you know, what's going on for them, that it might be more complex than that. So straight away I started to go, well, I could explore that and see if I could do that without disrupting my own take on it and my own politics. So I'll probably do it.
So
if you had said to me, I've got a scene here, it's exactly like this, and you need to shoot it, and it means this, then I would probably say no.
Right.
But if I got to work out how to do it, yeah, I would do it, because I mean, I'm always interested in the real messy stuff of relationships, and that's like pretty messy.
Yeah. This is a great year for female filmmakers. Many great Australian film directors putting out some great stuff this year. Is this some sort of watershed moment, or is it merely a bunch of existing terrific female directors whose films happen to be coming out the same year? Do you think that there is I
hope there's a change. I was super excited to be out on the road a lot of the time with The Nightingale and Judy and Punch. It was so cool. I've got to say that the statistics haven't changed. The numbers are the same. I think it's still 15% or 16% of films directed by women in Australia that are production funding. So it's still super low, but they're more visible maybe. It feels like they're around more.
Yeah.
It feels like that. And what I love about the crop of films that have come out directed by women is how different they are. this year. Like, from each other. They're just so different.
Yeah.
It's such a broad spectrum. There's no improvising in animals. That's not true. There's one line improvised in animals, and that is, sorry lads, I didn't mean to get so holy on you with my burning bush.
Okay.
After her vagina is alight. Her vulva, I should say. Look, it's not improvised at all, but there is a freedom that I ask from the cast to bring in terms of their roles. So we don't completely block everything. We just have done a lot of work on the characters and what it means and all of those things. So yeah, I mean, I have a strong sense of what I want, but that changes, and that changes from the input of everybody. Yeah.
Yeah. Was this an easier film in some regards to make than 52 Tuesdays, where you were making it a day a week for a year, which is, you know, a lot of hurdles that you're putting in front of yourself. This being a relatively conventional film, was it in some regard, Sophie, a bit of a relief making a film sort of in a conventional way?
There are things that are really great about making animals and the convention of filmmaking, and there's so many people working towards stuff. You know, I didn't have to do all the costumes and the design myself, for instance. But there'll never be another film for me to make like 52 Tuesdays. I mean, there's a great pleasure in having that time and space to work things out. Having said that, the editing process of 52 Tuesdays was hell. The editing of animals was a great pleasure. So there's always the benefit. I learn a lot doing 52 Tuesdays, and that reflects on the way that I make films now. But, you know, it's pretty cool to have a cast who are so good at what they do, and crew who like bring all their skills and everything. And 52, we were all kind of muddling through that together.
Okay, it seems like you've really kind of developed now to the point where you're ready to do the next film now, the next commercial film now, or to make the next film much more streamlined, having gone from experimental, doing the TV stuff where you have to be so disciplined, and now doing a relatively conventional big screen film. Is that the case, that you kind of feel that the gradient's gone up and you kind of prep now for whatever comes?
Yeah, not sure. I mean, I've always felt that each film or each project deserves its own process. So everyone is different. And, you know, I like the intimacy of a small crew, for instance. But at the same time, working on The Hunting, that was a machine. And there was something very nice about that as well. Do you know? There's good and bad. I feel like at the moment, I feel strongly driven to decide on the next film, you know, through what the purpose of it is, what it's trying to say, what its message is. I'm not sure what that is yet.
You're still hunting around?
I'm reading a lot. I haven't found anything there, and I'm developing a whole lot of new material with Matt.
Just quickly, can you tell me about The Hunting, which I came across in my research for you? I haven't gone through the whole thing yet, but it's pretty strong stuff about the issue of teens sexting, basically. Can you just tell me how that's gone and how much time you spent on that? Because it's been 5 years since your first film, 52 Tuesdays. You obviously spent some of that interim time making the show. Tell me a little bit about it.
Well, actually, it's been a strange process because 52 Tuesdays happened and I travelled with it quite a lot. And then I made a TV show called Fucking Adelaide for ABC. And while I was making that, we were developing Animals, you know, or adapting it from the novel, and it nearly financed a handful of times, but it kept falling over. And there was a point where I was like, this is not going to happen, you know. But in the meantime, SBS had come and said to us, we're interested in doing these 4-part TV series that are about that are compelling drama but are about something that sparks a conversation. And do you have one? Do you have something? And this idea of young people sharing explicit images of each other was something I'd been looking at quite a lot and was really disturbed by. Not the fact that they were taking the images so much, but the sharing of them without consent, and some of the material that existed online and the comments were really horrifying. And so we pitched that to SBS, and everyone sort of liked it, but no one knew what to do with it. Then Animals went, and in the middle of shooting Animals in Ireland, SBS just got a lot of interest in that, and that financed super fast. you know. And so by the time I came back from Animals, we were already scripting and in a story room for that show. And so the show's created by myself and Matt Cormack, who wrote 52 Tuesdays, and so it was kind of this juggle then of Animals and The Hunting going at the same time. And then when we finished the edit of Animals, we went straight into The Hunting pre-production. But because of the timeline and how fast that needed to be, we brought on another director to work with us as well, because originally I would have done all 4, and then I was like, I don't want to do any. I want to make sure the scripts are good, because it's heated material. So you really want to protect it and make sure that it's saying what it needs to say in particular. It can be harmful to put it out the wrong way.
I'd love to unpack just that show for the next 15 minutes. I'm serious, because I think it really deals with the issue of consequence and of the generational differences about how you deal with a few consequences. Unfortunately,
we've got to show
that all. But it's just, I've gone through most of it. Superb show. It's sort of hidden a little bit on the website. But congratulations on that.
Number 1 show on SBS this year, so, which is great. I mean, and it was a big surprise, I think.
Well, congratulations on The Hunting.
Thank you.